Religious devotion can bring out the most inspiring sides of humanity, but also its darkest, and nothing embodies that contradiction more than the ancient practice of child sacrifice. Among the most terrifying symbols tied to this ritual is Moloch, a fiery beast-like god, arms outstretched, waiting to receive the most innocent of victims. But who or what was Moloch? A real ancient deity? A metaphor? Or just a name for a horrific ritual? Let's dive into the disturbing depths of ancient religion and uncover one of the most haunting questions in religious history. In Western imagination, Moloch stands as the symbol of ultimate evil, a deity demanding the lives of children consumed by flames to the sound of drums and flutes, perhaps to drown out the screaming. This image appears everywhere, from the poetry of Milton to the metaphor-laden world of game theory, where Moloch represents the monster everyone sees, but no one can stop, dooming all to failure. But did such a god really exist? That's where things get complex. The traditional view. Some scholars argue there really was a god named Moloch, worshipped in the ancient Near East. The name comes from the Semitic root meaning king. This god, they say, received offerings, burnt child sacrifices, at specific altars called Tophets, the most infamous, located just outside ancient Jerusalem, in a valley that later inspired the concept of Gehenna, or hell. Biblical texts condemn passing children through the fire to Moloch, and archaeological evidence from Punic North Africa, especially Carthage, shows mass graves of incinerated infants, fueling the theory that this gruesome practice was real. Even Israelite kings, like Ahaz and Manasseh, reportedly took part in such sacrifices. But here's the twist. Not everyone agrees that Moloch was ever a real deity. The modern view. Starting in the 20th century, scholars began dismantling the traditional view. They pointed out that Moloch might not have been a god at all, but a type of sacrificial offering. The Hebrew grammar suggests to the Moloch, using a definite article, like a title, not a proper name, similar to how the Satan later became just Satan. Further, in Phoenician and Punic inscriptions, terms like MLK don't refer to a god, but to the type of offering, a vow sacrifice. Sometimes it was a lamb, sometimes, horrifyingly, it was a child. The child sacrifice wasn't about worshipping a monster god. It was about fulfilling a desperate promise to a deity in exchange for divine favor. The term Moloch, then, might have morphed in biblical memory, no longer just a sacrifice, but an embodied evil that later scribes and prophets sought to erase. Was child sacrifice ever directed to Yahweh? Now here's where things get seriously disturbing. Some of these sacrifices, yes, including children, might have been made to Yahweh himself. Several biblical passages suggest early Israelites practiced child sacrifice in Yahweh's name, particularly as vow-fulfilling rituals. Kings made these offerings during times of war or desperation, and while later reformers like Josiah banned these practices, the fact that the Bible spends so much time condemning them strongly implies they were real. And then there's the story of Jephthah in Judges 11. After winning a battle, he sacrifices his only daughter to Yahweh as promised. No angel stops him, no ram in the thicket. He made a vow. He kept it. The Tophet, the ritual, and the reforms. Archaeological evidence for child sacrifice in ancient Israel is thin, but biblical descriptions of Tophets and passing children through fire hint at ritual burning altars. The term Tophet might mean hearth or be a word of taboo, intentionally distorted to erase its true meaning. These sacrifices were eventually outlawed, not because they were seen as morally wrong, but because they were seen as foreign, a Canaanite contamination of Yahweh worship. Reforms came, substitutions were made, children were redeemed with lambs, money, or temple service. Yet the memory persisted, and some believe it even influenced the story of Isaac. Was Isaac actually sacrificed? In Genesis, Abraham prepares to sacrifice his only son, Isaac, but an angel stops him. Or did he? Many scholars think the original version of the tale ended with Isaac's death, and the angelic rescue was a later addition to clean things up. After all, Abraham comes down the mountain alone. Isaac is never mentioned again. It's eerie. And in a theological twist, the story becomes a blueprint, a divine what-if, a test case for something far more impactful later. Christianity and the ultimate child sacrifice. What the prophets and reformers tried to erase, what they condemned, returns at the center of Christianity. The sacrifice of Jesus, God's only Son, is portrayed as the final child sacrifice, one that redeems all of humanity. He is the priest, he is the lamb, he is the vow fulfilled. It's the most vivid and celebrated instance of child sacrifice in history, a theological resurrection of an ancient ritual long thought buried. So what was Moloch? A god? Probably not. A ritual? Most likely. A terrifying reminder of humanity's desperate longing to bargain with the divine? Absolutely. And whether through flames, vows, or theology, Moloch's shadow stretches from the valleys of ancient Jerusalem all the way to the cross. This is Abyssal Narratives. If you felt the pull of the arcane tonight, subscribe, support the channel, and ring the bell to stay bound to the unknown. More forgotten grimoires, dark histories, and ancient powers await.